Hi, I'm Lynn, and here's what's happening at Ewetopia Farms today.
I'm going to dry bale this. So it's kind of alfalfa, it's really hard to cure. But you see what's happening there? Right there? Normally you would probably ted this. Maybe a little tough. Moisture down a little bit, wrap them up and put the plastic on them. It's a lot easier. It's going to be a challenge to get this to the dry form.
So let's get started. So Arnie back here is going to be doing something really unusual today. What's on your backlit agenda?
Today?
Yeah.
I think we're looking for a cottage. No, actually we're going to attempt to make dry hay today.
I fooled you guys. You
Why?
thought it was going to be something new, but it's hay again.
Well, it's actually new. It's dry hay. We don't do dry hay too often, do we?
We can't see you at all, so we're just going to guess that you're Arnie. Well, it's backlit terribly.
So this is Arnie. So we cut this hay. This is the third day it's on the ground now. We want to dry bale this. So it's kind of alfalfa, it's really hard to cure. And it's been on the ground for 3 days. Tomorrow is the 4th day. And I'm thinking I'm going to show you here. So I'm thinking if I go like this, it actually is a little bit cool, but it's quite dry. I'm thinking, I think tomorrow after lunch, we're going to rake the whole field up. Probably let it when we rake it up in the windrow, they call it. We'll probably leave it sitting like that for 3-4 hours to let it air out. And then we're going to try to bale it tomorrow about 3 o'clock probably. I'm thinking it's ready to go. So my experience with hay is Lynn said to me, why don't we just leave it longer, Arnie, because the weather's good. And I always find that after the third day, things start working against you. And I'll tell you how it works against you. I don't know if you can see it there, but you see what's happening there? Right there? So that's orchard grass. So you see what's happening. Today's the third day, tomorrow's the 4th day, and that grass is growing right up through the hay. So now it's actually keeping the hay moist. So there's no benefits of going any longer than 3 days, 4 days tops. And you better get it raked up. Extremely nice hay. See, so there's a green spot there, see? So that's where the tractor wheel was, right there. The tractor wheel drove right over that, and it compressed that, so we got to get that off the ground. Normally, you would probably ted this, put it tedded through, but the only thing wrong with tedding is, sometimes you see those alfalfa leaves? They're falling off now, and if you ted it, you're going to shake a lot of leaves off. So some people will ted it. I'm not really in love with tedding. I'm going to play the odds that it dries for the rest of the day. There's about 4 or 5 more hours of daylight hours. And I'm thinking tomorrow we're going to rake them up, leave them sit for 4 or 5 hours, and then hopefully we bale it up. The problem now is I went to a dry form, and now the hay is too dry to change my mind to go to wrap hay. Now it's too dry, so now I'm up against the wall. It has to be dry hay now, and I don't know if you can see it, but right now there's a couple spits of rain coming down. Yeah, farming's a tough practice, but it's pretty dry. I think we're going to bale it tomorrow. cross my fingers. Should get about 100 bales off of here. And I'm going to try the Raking bale tomorrow. Yeah. So this is going to keep me up tonight. Anyways, I'm doing my best. I can't do any more. But you can see the spots there. See that spot I just pried open? So you can see that the sun has bleached the top, and underneath it's quite green yet. Not green as wet green. Green that hasn't been bleached with the sun. But this should be extremely good hay. In the olden days, what you would do is, and you'd have a lot better luck with this, is you would square bale all this. And what my dad would do is, he would turn the tension down on the baler, so the baler wouldn't pack as hard, and we would bale it all up. The bales would be a little bit on the sloppy side, but that means the bales would air out and they would breathe, and you'd probably get away with it quite a bit. But those round balers are going to come in, and they're going to press that bale as hard as rock at 700 to 800 pounds. And I tell you, if that hay is going to act up, it's going to act up in that round bale. So the best way to do this is square bales, but we're not into the square bales anymore. That's just because no one wants to do the work anymore. But anyways, I'm doing a lot of talking here, and it's spitting rain right now. So hopefully that rain will disappear in a second. That will blow over. But yeah, that's a little frustrating. Yeah. When you get around 1st September, most of the time you think you're going to get dry weather. And when you get around the 1st September, boy, it's a hit and miss whether you get dry weather or not. You think it's going to be dry, you couldn't get 3-4 dry days, and it's been a tough year already. But I haven't gave up. That should blow over in a second. There's the sun right there. That should blow over in a second. But there's a couple spits of rain right now. Talk to you later. Just checking. Gonna do some haying today. Yeah, I think it's about 11:30 in the morning. I'm wondering if I should wait another hour, but anyway, I'll show you what it looks like. So that's it. So what I'm doing right now is I'm raking them double, and I'm taking them off that ground and putting them on the dry patch of ground here in the center. So they're rolling them on that dry patch, and with the wind blowing through them, they should dry out quite well. I've took 2 passes already. See what it feels like. Feels pretty good. Maybe a little tough, but we'll probably leave it sit here for 4 hours. You can see there's quite a bit of hay. Second cut, alfalfa grasses, real nice stuff. I'm just debating whether I should wait for another hour before I rake this. No, I think I'm going to keep going. I think I'm going to keep raking it. But you can see how much of the regrowth has already started to grow. I don't know if you can see it for the sun. It's already grown like 2 inches already. So you want to get that hay off the ground, eh? Yeah, it's nice and fluffy. I think it'll be fine. I think I'll rake them up and get going. So it's August 25th right now. And it's 12 o'clock, right on the money. So I'm just done raking the whole field, and the hay feels good, and I'm going to. So it's 12. I'm going to leave the hay for about so it's 12 o'clock. 1, 2, 3 for 3 hours. I'm going to leave it here to hopefully dry out better. It's got some tough spots in it, but I think it'll be fine. It would be better if you had a little more wind. So it's not a real big piece of hay, but it'll produce about 100 bales. I should have finished up a little piece right there raking. But next year, this fall, I guess, we're gonna burn this field off. We call it Roundup, kill all the sod. And this whole field is gonna be under corn next year. This is my oldest field of hay. This is my oldest hay field we have. And it's not as profitable as it used to be. And I think it's been seeded down for 6 years. And I know some people will frown upon that and say, if you can produce this much hay, Arnie, why would you turn it over? Excuse me. It's because the fields we have on the other farms are seeded down new, and they're producing actually even more feed per acre. And we're always rotating the fields to keep them alive and to keep them vigorous and keep them profitable. But I'm thinking some people will say, with that much hay, why would you do it? I really have too much hay. You can't really sell hay in this area at all. There's no demand for it. And to truck hay hours away from us is so draining in fuel, transportation costs, that it's not practical. So anyway, so that's just going to happen with this field in a couple months. We're gonna plow it down, and it'll all be under corn. But there's a lot of hay on it right now, and the hay's looking good. So I wish it was a little drier, but I think if you listen, you can hear that crackling. But see, that's a little tough right there, see? So, yeah, my best bet, I think, is to leave it set for 3-4 hours. And then I'll attempt to make a few bales. We'll test the bales. And yeah, if it's bad luck, I'll quit. And tomorrow maybe flip it over again to make it dry more. But I'm thinking it'll be okay. Keep you informed about that. A little nerve-wracking. Wrapping bales or wet bales are way easier. Just get the moisture down a little bit, wrap them up, and put the plastic on them. It's a lot easier. So I'm gonna go home and have some lunch. I didn't have breakfast, so I'm gonna have lunch and see what Lynn's doing. And late this afternoon, we're gonna give it a go. So it's one thing I didn't mention. So you can just to explain it a little better. July and the first half of August is ideal for making dry hay. It's the hottest part of the summer, but when you get to the second half of August to right now, with the 25th of August, there's something in the air, and you can feel that fall. But the air is different right now. The air has a coolness to it, and that little coolness is a major problem with making dry hay, because it's in the hay and you can't get rid of it. And so that's why it's going to be a challenge to get this to the dry form. So like I say, you can still make dry bales in September, August, but your days are quite limited to that perfect little weekend, or that perfect little 2-3 day window where you can make dry hay. Most dry hay is going to act up. Now, if you're still cutting first cut hay, which you probably shouldn't be doing because there's no value in that anymore, you can still make dry first cut hay because it's dead, it's dormant, it has no life in it at all anymore. But hay like this, second cut, this stuff is like a little bit like gasoline. It's got a lot of life in it, and if it's not in perfect conditions, it's going to act up and it's going to mold. So yeah, this has all your value, the real high value, but this hay is really high risk of not doing well. So Lynn wants perfect hay, and I'm trying to make perfect hay. And this is where Lynn and I will crash a little bit. She'll say, well, you should have waited, you should have done this, you should have done that. It's a real tough call to when you should cut, when you should rake, when you should bale dry hay. Yeah, I can't talk about it enough. It's really tough. I don't like it. I'm going to do the best I can, and hopefully I can make Lynn happy. Well, let's see how much dry the bales are. Oh, this is my first bale. Yeah.
Well, it seems like we're at this field every day. Today is day 5. Lynn told Arnie it took 5 days to dry alfalfa. So we're back here. Yesterday he flipped over the hay again because it definitely had wet patches in it. Like, there's no way he could have done it yesterday. It would have molded, and it was past, you know, it was too dry for wrapping, but it was just that tad too wet for dry bales. So we have another hot sunny day. We've been real lucky with that. This bale is the one he made yesterday and had a little bit of a meltdown because there was moisture in it. So we're gonna feed that one today before it acts up. And now we're gonna see, the mistake he made was that he should have left it flat, and he raked it too soon when it was still wet. But I think flipping it over yesterday, it looks dry. Yeah, it looks dry now, doesn't it?
Did it make a bale?
So we're gonna make one bale because it's pretty thick. That's the problem. But he felt it and I felt it. It feels dry, looks dry. But he's gonna go through that pile, and it's very, very thick and deep. So the problem when you rake it up, you should leave it flat if it's alfalfa, so that it's only a thin layer and the sun will really dry it. But when you rake it up, you've made a thick pile and the sun can't reach to the bottom. What? Run up on the bale. Why don't you run up on the bale? Arnie, did you probe it today?
No, that bale's acting up. It's not moldy, but it's got some heat in it. Have you probed that?
It will heat up. It will mold. If it heats up, I don't know. Sometimes we have this communication thing where, like, something, when it's a bale, it's either wet or it's dry. There's no a little bit of it, because if it's a little, it's moldy, it's bad. If it's dry, it's good, it will not mold. So there's no gray area when you're making hay. It either is or it isn't. We're gonna all look at it.
It's sweating.
It's 25%, so this would mold.
This is sweating. I'm gonna feed this tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna feed it to get rid of it. But at 25% moisture, it will mold. If you were to put it in a barn, the heat from it can cause barn fires. And it's too dry to technically wrap. I mean, you could wrap it, but it won't ferment. So that's why making dry alfalfa is a problem, because, like I say, there's no gray area. It's either dry or it's wet. And yeah, it's difficult. But for feed, alfalfa is probably the best grassy roughage type feed that you can feed your animals. So if you can get it, it's a good feed to have. But most people will put it in pits or silos, or will wrap it, because it's so lush that it is very hard to make dry. It's easier with the little small bales, like he said yesterday, but these big bales, these big rounds or the big squares, are much more difficult. So this is the big test, seeing what happens when this bale is born. Because it will be very, very, very depressing if this is 20% moisture. He's been probing it quite a few times, so I don't know what that means. I'm guessing it's 20%.
Still high.
What is it?
15 or less. I think you're never going to get it 0. It's always going to have something in it.
I don't know.
But there it shows the green, 15%.
But doesn't green mean good?
Green should mean good, I think.
You're not sure?
That's a little lighter. That's borderline. If you feel like that, see right there?
Yeah, I can see that there's green stalks.
Okay.
They feel dry, but they look green. Oh, that looks green here. So he made the decision to go for gray, not black or white. So we'll see what happens in a few months. So the gamble is that tomorrow, Quebec, which isn't too far from us, is supposed to get pop-up thunderstorms today. On my app, it says nothing for Kingston until tomorrow night. So technically, if the weather forecast is right, and he let it dry for one more day, hopefully it would dry down to the bottom. Like I say, the whole problem is that he put it in rows. If it wasn't in rows, it would have dried.
Only register there.
Okay, so we've put so many days into this field, and it's extremely good hay. And ideally, dry hay is the best you can feed your sheep too, because it's way cheaper, and if it is truly dry, it's not going to be moldy at all. Whereas you see the problems we have with the wrapped hay, with the mold, and it's so heavy to roll out. Like this is much lighter to roll out. So ideally, you'd like your whole farm to be this stuff, but the problem is rainstorms and getting it dry, and it's tough. It's always gambling, so it's a highly stressful proposition. We've decided that the forecast says no rain till tomorrow night. We're gonna leave it another 24 hours and gamble. So Arnie's off to pick up the 7 bales he did make. Google informs me that ideally round dry bales should be 13% moisture, but they allow a range between 10 and 17%, with it ideally being between 10 and 15%, which is where they come up with the 13. So we're like right there, so close. Like some of them are right at that, but that one that's 25 is definitely no good. So he's gonna pick up the ones he made, and he's gonna feed that one that's 25%. Like right now, he's gonna unroll it so it won't heat up and it won't mold, and the sheep will just eat it today and it'll be fine. He's back with the few bales that he did make, and I thought this would be the end of today's hay video and the haying videos for a little while now. But it would appear that you'll have to stay with us for the next video, because this haying saga is to be continued. Thanks for watching today. Wish us luck. Bye for now.